Welcome to The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, an exploration of one of humanity's oldest, most mysterious forms of power. This is not a book about love or manipulation alone, it's a deep psychological journey into the hidden currents of attraction, influence, and control. In this audiobook, you'll step into the minds of history's most magnetic figures, Cleopatra, Casanova, Marilyn Monroe, and countless others, and learn how their charm shaped empires, destroyed hearts, and rewrote destiny. Robert Greene breaks down seduction not as a game, but as an art, one that reveals how emotions can be guided, how fascination can be built, and how the right presence can disarm even the most guarded soul. So settle in, let the music fade, and open your mind to the secrets of persuasion, allure, and irresistible charm. Because once you understand the power of seduction, you'll never see human connection the same way again. Chapter 1, The Siren. In the grand theater of seduction, the siren represents the oldest and most enduring archetype of allure, the embodiment of sensuality, the promise of pleasure, and the escape from ordinary life. From the ancient myth of the Greek sirens who lured sailors to their doom with their enchanting voices, to historical figures like Cleopatra and Marilyn Monroe, the siren's power lies not in force or intellect, but in presence, a magnetic, irresistible aura that pulls others in like a tide. The siren understands a timeless truth, that desire is born from distance and fantasy. She does not chase, she attracts. Her very existence suggests luxury, leisure, and indulgence, everything the weary soul secretly craves. In her company, people feel alive, bewitched by the idea that time has stopped, that nothing matters except the moment. But the siren's weapon is not only beauty. It's attention, deep, undivided, and hypnotic. When she looks at you, she makes you feel like the only person in the room. Her voice, slow and melodic, carries an unspoken invitation. Her movements, deliberate and fluid, are designed to slow down the pace of the world, creating a rhythm that others unconsciously fall into. She draws power from contrast, her calm against another's chaos, her mystery against their transparency. Robert Greene reminds us that the siren's allure often emerges most powerfully in times of restraint. In cultures or environments where sexuality is suppressed, the siren's openness feels like rebellion, her confidence like freedom. This was Cleopatra's secret weapon against Caesar and Antony. She embodied Egypt itself, a living symbol of pleasure, beauty, and excess. To men accustomed to discipline and war, she offered something they could not find anywhere else, the intoxication of surrender. But the siren's path is not without danger. Her magic depends on maintaining a sense of unattainability. When she becomes too available, her power fades. The seducer must master balance. To provoke longing, but never fulfillment, to promise everything, while giving only enough to deepen the obsession. In modern terms, the siren archetype can be seen not only in women but in anyone who uses presence, voice, and atmosphere to enchant. The siren can be a man or woman who creates a world of sensual escape, through art, music, conversation, or charm. What matters is the emotional spell they weave. They make others want to linger, to lose themselves. To cultivate the siren's power, Greene advises mastering the art of appearance, dress, sound, scent, and space. Every detail should suggest ease, confidence, and abundance. The siren does not demand attention, she invites it. She becomes the still point around which everything else turns. And at the heart of it all lies one simple truth: seduction begins not with words, but with energy. The siren seduces by being, not by doing. Her power flows from the pleasure she gives to others simply by existing, a reminder that the ultimate seduction is not of the body, but of the imagination. In the language of desire, the siren whispers, "Come closer," and the world obeys. Chapter 2, The Rake. If the siren is the embodiment of feminine allure, then the rake represents the fiery, insatiable masculine energy of pursuit. He is passion personified, restless, devoted, and dangerously charming. Where others hesitate, the rake dives headlong into desire. He lives for seduction, for the thrill of the chase, for the intoxication of a lover's attention. To be desired is his art, but to desire, openly, intensely, and without shame, is his weapon. Robert Greene describes the rake as a creature of obsession. His secret lies in his focus. He makes the object of his affection feel as though they are the center of the universe. When he speaks, his words are drenched in emotion. When he looks, his gaze burns with hunger. This intensity melts through resistance, because people, especially those starved of attention or affection, long to be wanted so completely. Historical figures like Giacomo Casanova, Lord Byron, and Don Juan epitomize the rake's spirit. They possessed an energy that made others feel alive, desired, and liberated from the constraints of morality or caution. The rake's charm is rooted not in beauty or perfection, but in his sheer enthusiasm. He doesn't love carefully, he loves recklessly. And in that recklessness, others find the freedom they secretly crave. The rake's language is seduction itself. His compliments are not mechanical, they are spontaneous, poetic, almost fevered. He understands that words can awaken the senses as much as touch. He knows that promises, even if fleeting, can intoxicate. To the rake, every glance, every word, every sigh is a thread in the web he spins around his target. Yet his power does not end there. The rake breaks through the barriers of guilt and inhibition. His confidence, his disregard for propriety, and his willingness to risk rejection all make him magnetic. He embodies desire without apology. In his presence, others feel permitted to surrender to their own impulses. But Greene warns that the rake's strength is also his greatest weakness. His hunger for pleasure can turn destructive. He can seduce not only others, but himself into ruin. When his passion fades, or when his conquests blur together, he risks becoming hollow, driven only by vanity and restlessness. The true rake must learn to channel his intensity, to make each seduction feel unique, sacred, and alive. In the modern world, the rake can appear in many forms. He might be the charismatic artist whose eyes never stop searching, or the daring entrepreneur who makes risk feel romantic. The key is energy, an emotional fire that cannot be faked. He makes people feel special not by flattery, but by presence, by making them feel seen in a world that too often looks away. Greene reminds us that the rake's magic lies in his pursuit, not his possession. He reminds his victims of their own capacity for passion. To be loved by a rake is to feel the pulse of life again, to awaken dormant desires. It is thrilling, dangerous, and unforgettable. To master the art of the rake, one must learn to abandon hesitation, to embrace emotion, to make intensity a language. Every word should promise adventure. Every action should whisper, "You are worth the risk." For where the siren draws others in with her stillness, the rake conquers with motion, unstoppable, burning, and alive. Chapter 3: The Ideal Lover. The ideal lover is the master of fantasy. Unlike the siren or the rake, who seduce through raw energy and presence, the ideal lover wins hearts by creating a world that feels more perfect, more beautiful, and more meaningful than reality itself. To encounter an ideal lover is to feel seen, understood, and cherished, not for who you are, but for who you long to be. Robert Greene explains that at the core of the ideal lover's power lies an almost magical sensitivity. They are not driven by their own desires, but by the desires of others. They look beyond surface needs and into the unspoken, the secret dreams, the buried yearnings, the forgotten fantasies that most people keep hidden even from themselves. Then, like a sculptor bringing form to marble, the ideal lover shapes themselves into the living embodiment of that fantasy. Throughout history, figures such as the writer Madame de Pompadour, who captured the heart of King Louis XV, or the romantic adventurer Casanova, understood this truth instinctively. They didn't just seduce bodies, they seduced imaginations. Each encounter felt like a fairy tale, because they gave others what the real world denied them: attention, appreciation, and a sense of significance. The ideal lover's strategy begins with observation. They study their target's tastes, fears, and emotional voids. Are they lonely? Do they crave adventure, tenderness, admiration, or rebellion? Once they understand that hidden longing, they become the answer to it. The ideal lover tailors their approach with precision. Tone, appearance, gestures, and even silence are chosen to fit the fantasy they wish to project. What makes the ideal lover irresistible is their ability to offer escape. In their presence, the mundane dissolves. Time feels slower. Conversations feel cinematic. They turn the simplest moments, a look, a touch, a whisper, into something drenched in meaning. And the more ordinary one's life feels, the more intoxicating the ideal lover becomes. Greene points out that the ideal lover's charm does not come from deception, but from artistry. They create illusion, yes, but it is an illusion built upon empathy. They give people what they need emotionally, and in doing so, they reveal the profound human hunger for fantasy. Everyone, at some level, wants to be transported, to feel that life can still surprise them. However, this archetype carries its own danger. To maintain their magic, the ideal lover must never become too real. If the fantasy breaks, if flaws, routine, or indifference creep in, the spell is shattered. Their power depends on distance, on preserving the illusion of perfection. Like a painter protecting a masterpiece, the ideal lover must know when to retreat, when to let memory and imagination do the work. In today's world, the ideal lover might appear as the person who seems to understand you instantly. The one who listens without judgment, mirrors your emotions, and speaks in a tone that feels like it was meant only for you. They might not be the most beautiful or powerful, but they are the most emotionally precise. They make you feel special, chosen, and alive. To cultivate this archetype, Greene advises developing deep awareness, not of yourself, but of others. Pay attention to their desires, their wounds, their silence. Learn to listen beyond words. Use empathy as your weapon, and imagination as your canvas. The ideal lover does not conquer through passion or power, they seduce through meaning. They turn longing into connection, and connection into devotion. They remind us that sometimes, the most powerful form of seduction is not to make someone fall in love with you, but with the dream you represent. The ideal lover whispers to the heart's hidden ache and says, I see you, not as you are, but as you wish to be. Chapter 4, The Dandy. The dandy is freedom incarnate, a creature who refuses to be defined by convention, expectation, or the ordinary rhythms of society. In a world where most people feel trapped by roles, labels, and responsibilities, the dandy stands apart, untamed and self-created. This is the seducer who attracts not through beauty or passion, but through independence, through the sheer audacity of being entirely, unapologetically themselves. Robert Greene paints the dandy as an androgynous figure, one who blends masculine and feminine energies with effortless grace. Think of historical icons like Oscar Wilde, the Count d'Orsay, or later, figures like David Bowie and Marlene Dietrich. Their allure was rooted not in conforming to beauty standards but in defying them. They blurred lines and, in doing so, liberated those who followed them. People were drawn to their mystery, their unpredictability, and their refusal to be ordinary. What makes the dandy irresistible is the sense of freedom they radiate. They seem to live by their own rules, detached from judgment, expectation, or need. That detachment is magnetic because it speaks to something everyone secretly craves, the ability to be wholly oneself without fear. The dandy embodies that dream. They move through life as if on a private stage, with style and confidence as their armor and rebellion as their art form. The dandy seduces by suggestion, not by pursuit. They never chase, never cling. Instead, they entice others to come closer, to try and capture a fragment of their mysterious charm. Their confidence, their coolness, and their wit all signal one message: I don't need you, but you might need me. And that sense of emotional independence is intoxicating. In seduction, the dandy plays with ambiguity. They hint at desire but never reveal their full hand. They flirt with danger but remain calm within it. Their charm lies in contradiction, warm yet distant, bold yet effortless, playful yet impenetrable. Their appearance is carefully crafted, not to impress others, but to express identity. Every gesture, every word, every outfit tells the world, I am unlike anyone else. Greene reminds us that the dandy's power lies in contrast. In times or environments where conformity is valued, the dandy's individuality shines even brighter. They become a symbol of rebellion, of authenticity, of freedom. To those who feel stifled by expectation, the dandy becomes an escape, a living fantasy of what it means to live truthfully, without apology. However, the dandy's path demands balance. Their aloofness can easily slip into arrogance, their independence can become isolation. To remain magnetic, the dandy must allow others to feel the warmth of inclusion, to make their world seem like a place where others might, just for a moment, belong. In the modern world, the dandy appears in many forms: the artist who defies trends, the entrepreneur who breaks every rule, the individual whose style, ideas, or presence refuse to fit the mold. The dandy doesn't follow fashion, they create it. Their seduction is not about offering love or passion, but about awakening admiration and curiosity. They remind others that life can be lived as a work of art. To embody the dandy, Greene advises cultivating detachment and self-sufficiency. Find comfort in solitude, confidence in uniqueness, and beauty in rebellion. Let your style, your words, your very being reflect a sense of individuality so strong that it cannot be ignored. The dandy's seduction is the seduction of freedom, a quiet whisper to the human spirit: you can be whoever you wish to be. In a world that demands conformity, the dandy's greatest allure is defiance, and in their defiance lies their beauty. Chapter 5: The Natural. The natural is the embodiment of innocence, playful, spontaneous, and completely unself-conscious. Where other seducers calculate and plan, the natural seduces by simply being. They remind others of the carefree joy of childhood, a time before restraint, before masks, before the burdens of adulthood dulled the senses. Their power lies in simplicity, the ability to make people drop their defenses and rediscover the pleasure of being alive. Robert Greene explains that the natural is irresistible because they awaken nostalgia, the longing for lost youth, for purity, for emotional honesty. They carry with them an energy that feels effortless and genuine, a kind of light that disarms cynicism. When you are with a natural, your guard falls away. You laugh more easily. You forget the weight of expectation. And in that space of ease, attraction blossoms. The natural archetype takes many forms. There is the childlike innocent, curious, wide-eyed, and full of wonder, whose sincerity and vulnerability invite protection and affection. There is the boyish or girlish charmer, playful, teasing, and full of vitality, who turns flirtation into a game. And there is the spontaneous spirit. Unpredictable, adventurous, and wild, whose lack of inhibition draws others into their orbit. Each version of the natural seduces through authenticity, never through artifice. History gives us countless examples. Charlie Chaplin, with his playful melancholy, Josephine Baker, with her radiant exuberance, and even Elvis Presley, whose raw charm seemed untouched by self-awareness, all captured hearts not because they were flawless, but because they were real. Their spontaneity, their unfiltered emotions, made them magnetic. The natural's secret weapon is emotional transparency. They don't hide what they feel, they live it fully, moment by moment. In a world of masks and manipulation, this openness feels like a relief. It gives others permission to let go, to feel again, to laugh, to play, to love without calculation. The natural doesn't seduce through power or mystery, but through the promise of authenticity. But Greene warns, this simplicity must never become childishness. The true natural knows when to balance innocence with confidence. Their charm lies not in weakness, but in fearlessness, the courage to be open, to be joyful, to be unguarded in a guarded world. They flirt not with desperation, but with curiosity. They are not naive, they simply refuse to let cynicism dull their sparkle. In practice, the natural seduction is subtle yet powerful. They use humor to ease tension, spontaneity to create surprise, and genuine emotion to forge connection. They remind people that love and attraction are not logical, they are instinctive, playful, alive. To be with a natural is to feel reborn. To cultivate this archetype, Greene suggests reconnecting with your inner child, the part of you that laughs without reason, that wonders without fear, that feels without calculation. Don't try to impress, instead, express. Replace control with curiosity. Replace manipulation with warmth. The natural's beauty lies in their humanity. The natural seduces because they make others feel young again, unburdened, alive, and free to feel. Their laughter is contagious, their innocence disarming, and their presence healing. In their company, the world seems less cruel, less complicated. The natural whispers not promises of passion or power, but something deeper. With me, you can be yourself again. Chapter 6, The Coquette. The coquette is the master of delay, a seducer who understands that the greatest power in attraction is not in giving, but in withholding. They seduce through absence, through subtlety, through the tension between what is offered and what is denied. In a world addicted to instant gratification, the coquette's gift is to make people wait, and in that waiting, desire grows into obsession. Robert Greene describes the coquette as the artist of contradiction. They are warm, then cold, present, then distant. They offer attention, then withdraw it just as their target leans in. This push and pull creates emotional suspense, a dance that keeps others perpetually off balance. Every moment with a coquette feels charged, uncertain, alive with potential, and that uncertainty is precisely what makes them irresistible. Historically, figures like Queen Elizabeth I, Josephine Bonaparte, and Greta Garbo mastered the art of coquetry. They understood that by appearing slightly unattainable, they magnified their value. Elizabeth ruled over a court of suitors who adored her, yet she never fully yielded to any of them. Her aloofness became part of her legend, a blend of charm and distance that fueled devotion without surrender. The coquette's power lies in their ability to make others pursue. By showing glimpses of affection, then retreating, they stir longing and frustration, two of the most powerful ingredients in attraction. The more someone chases, the more invested they become, and the coquette knows exactly how to sustain this chase without ever allowing it to end. They thrive in that delicate space between pleasure and denial. But coquetry is not mere manipulation, it's an art of emotional control. While others act from impulse, the coquette moves with patience and precision. They understand that desire feeds on obstacles, that passion needs distance to survive. They never reveal too much, never make themselves too available. They let the imagination do the seducing. Greene points out that the coquette's strength often comes from independence. They give the impression that they do not need anyone, and that self-sufficiency is intoxicating. People are drawn to what they can't easily have, and the coquette becomes the living symbol of mystery and restraint. Their allure is amplified by what they refuse to say, by what they choose not to give. However, there is danger in excess. A coquette who plays too cold for too long risks losing their audience entirely. The true master of this archetype balances absence with reward, offering just enough warmth to keep hope alive. A glance, a smile, a sudden softness, these fleeting moments feel priceless precisely because they are rare. In modern times, the coquette can be found everywhere, the person who texts back just late enough to keep you wondering, who gives compliments wrapped in ambiguity, who always seems slightly out of reach. Their seduction works because it awakens the chase instinct, the primal urge to win what seems impossible to possess. To cultivate the coquette's charm, Greene advises learning patience and emotional detachment. Never rush. Let tension build. Offer glimpses of affection, but make them earned. Turn your presence into a reward, not a given. The more unpredictable you are, the more others will crave your attention. The coquette's true magic lies in creating an emotional rhythm, approach and retreat, light and shadow, warmth and coolness, until the other person is dancing to a tune they can no longer control. They give the illusion of intimacy, while remaining just out of reach. The coquette whispers not, "Come to me," but "Try to catch me," and in that endless chase, hearts are conquered. Chapter 7, The Charmer. The charmer is the social magician, the one who makes every person they encounter feel seen, valued, and important. Their power doesn't lie in sexuality or mystery, but in warmth, attentiveness, and emotional grace. Where others seek to impress, the charmer seeks to disarm. They understand that true seduction begins not with self-assertion, but with the subtle art of making others feel comfortable, appreciated, and admired. Robert Greene describes the charmer as the antidote to friction. They glide effortlessly through social situations because they never challenge or threaten. Instead, they soothe. They listen deeply, smile easily, and speak in a way that calms the ego and delights the senses. In their presence, people drop their defenses almost involuntarily. The charmer's greatest gift is making others feel special, and in doing so, they become irresistible. Throughout history, the greatest charmers have been masters of empathy. Cleopatra, Benjamin Disraeli, and the Duchess of Windsor all possessed an uncanny ability to adapt to the moods and desires of those around them. They did not push their own agenda, they made others believe that they were the center of attention. And yet, beneath that gentle surface lay sharp intelligence and deliberate control. The charmer never fights, they win through grace. The charmer's method is rooted in emotional finesse. They observe carefully, reading faces and tone for clues. They flatter not through empty praise, but through sincere recognition, noticing what others long for others to see. They make people feel interesting, admired, and at ease. Their laughter is never forced, their compliments never overdone. Every gesture feels natural, effortless, and genuine, even though it is anything but accidental. Greene explains that the charmer thrives in times of stress or tension, when people are desperate for relief. The charmer provides that escape, a moment of lightness amid chaos. Their calm becomes contagious, their composure magnetic. When they speak, they do not argue or dominate, they weave agreement, turning conversation into harmony. Their secret weapon is their ability to make people feel good about themselves. But the charmer's kindness should never be mistaken for weakness. Their charm is a form of power, subtle, but deeply effective. They manipulate not through aggression, but through pleasure. They understand that people are far more likely to yield to affection than to force. To resist a charmer would feel almost rude, even unnatural. And so, without realizing it, others are led exactly where the charmer wants them to go. However, Greene cautions that charm must be balanced with authenticity. Too much flattery feels false, too much attention feels intrusive. The charmer's art lies in moderation, knowing when to advance, when to retreat, and when silence is the most seductive language of all. Their control is hidden behind warmth. Their calculation, behind kindness. In the modern world, the charmer might appear as the friend who always knows the right thing to say, the colleague who diffuses conflict with a smile, or the lover who makes you feel effortlessly understood. Their seduction isn't built on intensity or mystery, it's built on ease. They make connection feel simple, even magical. To cultivate this archetype, Greene suggests developing emotional intelligence, the ability to listen, to empathize, to adjust your tone and energy to the person before you. Learn the power of small gestures, a touch, a pause, a compliment at the perfect moment. Avoid confrontation. Instead, win people over with attention, humor, and sincerity. The charmer's allure is timeless because it fulfills a universal human desire, the need to be seen, accepted, and valued. In a world full of tension, they are a soothing presence. They make others forget their insecurities, if only for a moment. The charmer does not conquer hearts, they open them. Their secret is simple, to make others feel adored is to become unforgettable. Chapter 8, The Charismatic. Charisma is the divine glow that makes some people seem larger than life, the magnetic force that draws others in and holds them captive. In this chapter, Robert Greene explores the charismatic, the figure who radiates confidence, purpose, and energy so powerful that people can't help but be seduced. Unlike other seducers who rely on subtle gestures or calculated allure, the charismatic seduces through presence alone. The charismatic stands at the center of attention not by demanding it, but by embodying it. They seem to possess a vision that transcends ordinary life, inspiring admiration and devotion. Greene explains that charisma is born from inner conviction, a deep belief in oneself and one's purpose. This certainty gives the charismatic an aura of authority and calm that people instinctively trust. It's not about beauty or eloquence, it's about emotional intensity and unwavering confidence. Throughout history, figures like Joan of Arc, Mahatma Gandhi, and John F. Kennedy embodied this seductive power. They projected both confidence and selflessness, a paradox that fascinates and attracts. People felt drawn to them not merely because of what they said, but because of what they believed. Charismatics channel passion and faith in a way that makes others want to follow, to surrender to their vision. Greene reveals that charisma often grows out of emotion, not intellect. The charismatic connects through feeling rather than logic. They make people sense that being near them gives meaning to their lives. When a charismatic speaks, their voice carries emotion that resonates at a primal level. They don't persuade with arguments but with energy. Whether it's religious fervor, revolutionary zeal, or personal magnetism, they ignite emotion in others that blurs rational thought. Yet charisma also requires restraint. The charismatic never seems needy or desperate for approval. Their calm confidence suggests they already possess something others want. Their stillness commands as much attention as another's excitement. People project their hopes and desires onto them, filling in the blanks with fantasy. Greene compares this to a mirror. The charismatic reflects what others wish to see. A crucial aspect of charisma is purpose. People are drawn to leaders and lovers who seem to know where they're going. The charismatic carries an invisible aura of destiny, a sense that their life has meaning. Whether through spiritual conviction or creative ambition, they inspire others to believe in something greater than themselves. That belief is the most seductive force of all. But Greene warns, charisma can be dangerous. It can blind both the seducer and the seduced. History's most destructive figures, from cult leaders to tyrants, have wielded charisma as a weapon. Their followers, enchanted by belief and emotion, surrendered judgment in exchange for belonging. True charismatics walk a thin line between inspiration and manipulation. To cultivate charisma, Greene advises mastering emotional control. The charismatic radiates calm when others panic, passion when others are dull. They are intensely present, making everyone around them feel seen and energized. They balance humility with confidence, serenity with intensity. Above all, they believe in themselves so completely that others can't help but believe, too. In the world of seduction, charisma is the closest thing to magic. It is the power to move hearts without touch, to command loyalty without demand, to inspire devotion without promise. The charismatic doesn't chase, they attract. Their energy is their spell, and belief is their secret weapon. When they walk into a room, everything seems to shift, people feel lighter, more alive, as if drawn into a current of purpose. And that is the ultimate seduction, not through words or gestures, but through the irresistible pull of one's very being. Chapter 9, The Star. The star is the seductive character who shines with a light that others can't help but follow. In this chapter, Robert Greene explores the star, the person whose allure is built not on intimacy or mystery, but on projection. Stars attract because they embody our deepest fantasies. They don't merely exist, they perform. Every gesture, every word, every silence feels deliberate, crafted to sustain an aura of fascination and distance. The star's power lies in illusion. Greene explains that from ancient gods to modern celebrities, the star fulfills a universal need, the human desire to worship, to admire, to lose oneself in someone seemingly greater. The star becomes a blank canvas upon which others paint their dreams. They don't overwhelm with closeness, they seduce with distance. Their brilliance lies not in revealing everything, but in showing just enough to keep people yearning for more. True stars know how to control perception. They understand that mystery fuels attention. By remaining slightly out of reach, emotionally, physically, or socially, they invite curiosity. Their silence speaks louder than words. They let others imagine what they're really like. And because fantasy is always more seductive than reality, they maintain their allure by never allowing complete access. Greene points to historical and cultural examples: Marilyn Monroe's vulnerable innocence, Greta Garbo's mystique, and Elvis Presley's electric confidence. These figures didn't chase attention, they became symbols of it. People projected their desires onto them, confusing fantasy with truth. The star thrives on this projection, cultivating it carefully. They are never ordinary, even their flaws seem poetic, their struggles glamorous. But behind the glitter lies strategy. Stars manage their image with precision. They understand the rhythm of exposure and withdrawal, when to appear, when to vanish. Overexposure kills mystery, while absence intensifies it. The star seduces by contrast, a flash of emotion amid calm, a rare glimpse behind the mask. Every revelation feels precious because it is rare. Greene also notes that the star must master self-possession. They must never seem desperate for admiration. Their light feels natural, effortless, as if fame or adoration simply follows them. They seem chosen, destined, touched by something divine. This calm self-assurance makes others chase them, hoping to bask in their glow. The star's secret is control disguised as spontaneity. Yet the star's allure isn't limited to celebrities. Anyone can harness this archetype. In social settings, you can become a star by cultivating an air of distinctiveness, dressing with style, speaking with calm authority, standing apart from the crowd. The goal isn't to blend in but to stand out in a way that feels unattainable yet magnetic. People are drawn to rarity, to those who seem above the mundane. Greene warns, however, that the star must protect their energy. Constant attention can drain and destroy. Many stars fall because they lose control of their image, trying too hard to please everyone. The true star remains enigmatic, selective, and self-contained. They give light, but never all of it. Their brilliance endures because it remains partly veiled in shadow. To embody the star, Greene advises cultivating stillness and poise. Speak less, reveal less, and make every appearance count. Let others dream about who you are rather than explaining yourself. Make absence your ally, mystery your armor, and elegance your language. When done right, people won't just notice you, they'll orbit around you. In the theater of seduction, the star plays the most dazzling role of all, not the lover who pursues, but the vision that inspires pursuit. They seduce not through touch, but through presence. Their power is not in closeness, but in distance. A light so captivating, it makes everyone else want to step closer, even if they can never reach it. Part 2, The Seductive Process. Chapter 10, Choose the Right Victim. Seduction begins not with charm, beauty, or words, but with selection. In this chapter, Robert Greene teaches one of the most crucial principles of the seductive process: choosing the right target. A master seducer doesn't try to seduce everyone. They are deliberate, strategic, and intuitive. They seek out those who are already vulnerable, people who secretly crave attention, adventure, validation, or escape. In seduction, effort is wasted on the content or the clever line if the target's heart is made of stone. The first step is to find the one whose defenses are already cracking. Greene explains that every person has emotional gaps, hidden desires, wounds, or frustrations they rarely admit, even to themselves. The art of the seducer lies in recognizing those gaps. The right victim is not necessarily the most beautiful or successful, it's the one who feels incomplete. Some are bored, craving excitement. Others are insecure, longing for admiration. Some live repressed lives, yearning to break free. When you can sense that hidden hunger, you hold the key to their heart. The seducer, like a hunter, observes before acting. They study body language, tone, and subtle signs of longing. Greene advises that you must look for the eyes that wander, the laugh that lingers too long, the nervous glance that betrays curiosity. These are signs of readiness. The wrong person, content, confident, and emotionally fulfilled, will resist your advances. The right victim, on the other hand, will lean toward you unconsciously, drawn by something they can't name. In history and myth, the most successful seducers, from Casanova to Cleopatra, were not reckless charmers but perceptive psychologists. They knew how to read people, sensing weakness beneath armor. Casanova, for instance, didn't chase the most beautiful women, he pursued those who felt neglected, misunderstood, or lonely. By understanding their pain, he positioned himself as the answer to their silent questions. Greene reminds us that seduction is not about conquest, it's about connection to a hidden emotional need. Once you've identified the right target, you must confirm your intuition. Test their reaction subtly. A flirtatious remark, a prolonged glance, a shared secret, watch how they respond. If they recoil, you've misjudged. But if they linger, if curiosity flickers in their eyes, you've found your mark. The best victims are not easy prey, but those whose resistance hides a deep desire to be pursued. The challenge excites them, and you. Greene also cautions against the seducer's greatest mistake, ego-driven selection. Many people pursue those who flatter their vanity, the most attractive, the most powerful, the hardest to get, rather than those who are emotionally susceptible. True seducers know that chasing the wrong person leads only to frustration. Power in seduction comes from discernment, not recklessness. Choosing wisely saves time and magnifies your influence. Psychologically, choosing the right victim also allows the seducer to mirror and amplify their desires. By reflecting their hidden dreams, you become irresistible. If they crave danger, show unpredictability. If they long for tenderness, reveal empathy. The right target will feel as though you see into their soul, because you do. Seduction is emotional alchemy, and your victim's needs are the raw materials. Greene's tone here is almost scientific: identify, analyze, and adapt. Seduction is not a guessing game, it's a process of observation and intuition. The world is full of people hiding unmet needs behind masks of confidence. The seducer's first act is to look past the surface and find the ache beneath. Choose well, and your work becomes effortless. Choose poorly, and no amount of charm can save you. In the end, Greene leaves us with this truth: the right victim is the mirror of your own seductive power. Find the one who hungers for what you can offer: excitement, freedom, validation, or mystery, and the game begins before you've even spoken. The wrong choice leads to resistance and rejection. The right choice. It opens the door to obsession, surrender, and the intoxicating dance that defines the art of seduction. Chapter 11. Create a false sense of security, approach indirectly. In seduction, the direct approach is often the quickest way to fail. Robert Greene begins this chapter by revealing a paradox: the more overt your interest, the more your target's defenses rise. To seduce effectively, you must disarm suspicion. The essence of this chapter is strategy: never come straight at your prey. Approach indirectly, like smoke filling a room, until they breathe you in without realizing it. Greene compares the process to warfare: frontal assaults rarely succeed, victory belongs to those who encircle and outthink their opponents. In seduction, your target must never feel attacked or cornered. Instead, they should believe that they are in control, that they are the ones pursuing or choosing. You do this by wrapping your intentions in charm, friendship, curiosity, or even indifference. It's not manipulation, it's artful restraint. A skilled seducer understands human nature. People resist when they sense danger or motive. The moment you seem too eager, too flirtatious, too forward, alarm bells go off. So you hide your hunger. Greene writes that subtlety is the seducer's armor: flirt without flirting, tease without touching, connect without confessing. The longer your target feels safe, the deeper your influence grows. History offers countless examples. Cleopatra did not rush to seduce Julius Caesar, she hid inside a rug, emerging as a surprise, mysterious, clever, and unexpected. Casanova often began by befriending women, listening to their frustrations, letting them reveal their hearts. By the time desire surfaced, his victims were already emotionally entangled. The indirect approach builds anticipation, the most powerful form of attraction. Greene explains that to approach indirectly, you must master ambiguity. Speak in double meanings, give mixed signals, and create moments of uncertainty. When people can't quite define your feelings, they project their own fantasies onto you. This psychological confusion is not cruelty, it's the first thread of the web you're weaving. Seduction thrives on curiosity and emotional suspense. To maintain this balance, you must suppress your own impulses. The impatient seducer exposes their intentions too soon and ruins the illusion. Instead, act as though you have other interests, other admirers, other things on your mind. Let them wonder where they stand. The feeling of uncertainty, do they like me or not? Keeps them thinking about you, replaying every word, analyzing every glance. This mental engagement is the beginning of obsession. Greene also emphasizes the role of empathy in indirect seduction. You must enter your target's emotional world quietly, learning their fears and desires from within. Listen more than you speak. Make them feel safe enough to open up. When someone feels understood, they lower their guard, and that's when real influence begins. The seducer never pushes, they invite surrender. But Greene warns that the indirect approach requires finesse. If you're too vague, your target may lose interest. Too forward, and they retreat. The art lies in rhythm: advance, retreat, suggest, withdraw. Like a dance, seduction is about timing, not force. You must know when to ignite curiosity and when to cool the flame. In this tension, desire takes root. In practical terms, approaching indirectly means hiding your seduction behind other motives. You might present yourself as a friend, a mentor, or a confidant. Or you may appear indifferent, letting your charm work in silence. Over time, your presence becomes comforting, familiar, and when you finally reveal attraction, it feels natural, even inevitable. In the final lesson of this chapter, Greene reminds us that trust is the gatekeeper of desire. By creating a false sense of security, you lull your target's instincts to sleep. Only then can you awaken the emotions buried beneath. True seducers don't force entry into someone's heart, they are invited in. The key is subtlety, patience, and control. Seduction, at its core, is not about the chase, it's about guiding the other person into wanting to be caught. And that begins with the most delicate maneuver of all, approaching not as a threat, but as a mystery. You become the quiet comfort that slowly becomes irresistible. You enter through friendship, curiosity, or chance, and before they realize it, they're already within your spell. That is the genius of approaching indirectly. Chapter 12, Send Mixed Signals. Seduction thrives on confusion, tension, and contradiction, forces that keep your target emotionally off balance. In this chapter, Robert Greene introduces one of the most fascinating and manipulative tools of the seducer, the art of sending mixed signals. To seduce someone deeply, you must stimulate both desire and doubt, attraction and frustration. When your signals conflict, your target becomes obsessed with deciphering you. Greene explains that humans crave certainty, yet are irresistibly drawn to mystery. When someone behaves in ways that don't quite make sense, affectionate one moment, distant the next, the mind becomes trapped in curiosity. This uncertainty transforms mild interest into fixation. The seducer uses this psychological principle to their advantage: confuse your target just enough to keep them chasing clarity. Mixed signals create emotional chaos, and chaos breeds attachment. When your target can't predict your mood or intentions, they begin to overanalyze every gesture, every word. They replay conversations in their mind, searching for meaning. Greene calls this emotional destabilization, and it's one of the most potent tools of seduction. You become their puzzle, their obsession, the riddle they can't solve. Throughout history, seductive figures have wielded this power masterfully. Think of Josephine Bonaparte, who alternated between warmth and indifference, driving Napoleon to madness with desire. Or Greta Garbo, whose aloof mystery captivated audiences, her silence spoke louder than any declaration of love. By keeping others unsure, they controlled the emotional tempo. Predictability is comforting, but it's never seductive. It's the unknown that pulls people in. To send mixed signals effectively, Greene advises balance. Too much distance and your target will give up, too much warmth and they'll feel secure. The art lies in contrast. One day you're attentive, the next withdrawn. One night your gaze lingers, the next it drifts away. This rhythm of giving and taking keeps desire alive. The mind clings to what it can't have, and you become an addiction that feeds on inconsistency. Psychologically, this tactic taps into the principle of intermittent reinforcement. When affection and attention come unpredictably, they have a far stronger emotional impact. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive. The uncertainty of reward creates obsession. In seduction, your attention becomes the prize your target can't stop chasing. Greene also reminds us that mixed signals should never seem deliberate. They must feel natural, even accidental. If your target senses manipulation, the spell is broken. The key is emotional authenticity. Act according to mood, timing, and subtle instinct. When you appear spontaneous, your contradictions become irresistible. They won't see calculation, they'll see depth. At its heart, this strategy is about maintaining power. When people are unsure how you feel, they lose control of their own emotions. Their mind fills in the blanks, often imagining you as more fascinating and desirable than you truly are. The seducer doesn't explain, they imply. They let silence speak louder than words. The less you clarify, the more they chase understanding. However, Greene warns of one danger: confusion without reward leads to frustration, not fascination. Always give enough warmth to sustain hope. A smile, a compliment, a glance, these small tokens keep the fire burning. The tension between yes and no, between closeness and distance, is what makes seduction an art rather than manipulation. In the final lesson, Greene concludes that mixed signals create emotional dependency. By keeping your target unsure, you ensure their attention. They will wait for your next move, interpret your every silence, and dream about what you truly mean. You become the author of their inner dialogue, and that is the highest form of power in seduction. Seduction, Greene says, isn't about being understood, it's about being felt. The moment your target can define you, the magic dies. So stay unpredictable. Smile and disappear. Touch, then withdraw. Speak half-truths, and let mystery fill the rest. In that delicate balance of warmth and coldness, the heart loses its footing, and falls right into your hands. Chapter 13, Appear to be an object of desire, create triangles. In this chapter, Robert Greene unveils one of the most powerful forces in human attraction: competition. Desire, he explains, is contagious. When people see others wanting you, their own interest intensifies. The seducer understands this instinct and learns to weaponize it. To appear more desirable, you must create the illusion that others already desire you. This is the seductive triangle, where your target, observing your effect on others, begins to crave you themselves. Greene reminds us that humans are not purely rational beings. Our desires are shaped by social proof. When someone or something appears wanted, it gains perceived value. The seducer turns this psychological truth into strategy. Instead of pursuing directly, they surround themselves with admirers, allies, or subtle hints of other attachments. Jealousy, curiosity, and competitiveness awaken emotions that logic can't suppress. History offers endless examples. Cleopatra did not depend solely on her beauty, she mastered the art of the triangle. Surrounded by suitors and symbols of admiration, she made every man feel privileged to win her favor. Her desirability wasn't accidental, it was staged. The same applies to Casanova, who often appeared in the company of other women, creating an aura of excitement and social magnetism that drew even more lovers toward him. Greene points out that this tactic works because it triggers the primal fear of being left out. When your target sees you admired by others, they begin to question their own value: why haven't I been chosen yet? This insecurity sparks pursuit. People want what they think they can't easily have. They crave validation by winning the attention of someone already wanted by others. Desire spreads like fire, it doesn't start from you, it spreads around you. However, Greene warns that the triangle must be crafted with finesse. Too much provocation and you risk sparking resentment or anger. Too little and the effect fades. The goal is to stimulate intrigue, not hostility. Subtlety is key, a passing compliment from another admirer, a rumor of attention, a social interaction that hints at competition. You never announce your desirability, you let it be seen. The seducer also uses this method to remain in control. When your target believes they must compete, they become emotionally invested. Their focus shifts from evaluating you to proving themselves worthy. They fight for your attention, unknowingly deepening their own obsession. The triangle changes the balance of power, you are no longer the pursuer, but the prize. Psychologically, the triangle works because it transforms desire into urgency. It short-circuits patience and creates emotional tension. Your target begins to experience anxiety at the thought of losing you to someone else. This fear of loss, even if unfounded, makes them act impulsively. They text first, flirt harder, commit faster. You've shifted the dynamics from curiosity to compulsion. Greene emphasizes that both men and women can use this technique in any form of relationship, from romance to politics to art. Stars, leaders, and influencers often use the power of perception, they appear admired, so they become admired. Their desirability is magnified not by their words, but by their audience. Seduction, after all, is theater. Every great performance needs spectators. But this strategy requires emotional discipline. The moment you become genuinely dependent on admiration, you lose control. The true seducer orchestrates attention, but never needs it. They let others desire them without ever appearing desperate for it. This balance, between being wanted and being indifferent, keeps power firmly in your hands. In the end, Greene distills the lesson: don't demand attention, attract it. Don't chase admiration, inspire it. Make yourself a mirror of desire, the person everyone seems to want, the figure who lights up the room simply by being desired. Once people believe others want you, they will invent reasons to want you too. And that is the power of the triangle, to turn ordinary attraction into obsession. You become not just an individual, but a symbol of social magnetism. In that moment, seduction stops being effort and becomes gravity. You no longer pursue love, you pull it toward you. Chapter 14, Create Temptation. In this chapter, Robert Greene reveals the essence of irresistible allure, temptation. To seduce someone, you must awaken desire without directly demanding it. Instead of persuasion, you create an environment where giving in feels natural, almost inevitable. The seducer doesn't force attraction, they plant it like a seed and let curiosity do the rest. Temptation begins with subtle suggestion. You must make your target feel that choosing you is their idea. The best seducers never impose, they entice. Greene explains that human beings are drawn to what is slightly forbidden, out of reach, or shrouded in mystery. By hinting at pleasure, by showing just a glimpse of what could be, you ignite the imagination. Once that spark takes hold, it grows on its own. The goal, Greene writes, is to transform your presence into something symbolic, an escape from boredom, a taste of adventure, a promise of emotional or sensual satisfaction. The moment your target begins to fantasize about you, you've succeeded. Temptation is not about offering reality, but about stirring dreams. It is not about what you say, but about what you leave unsaid. History is rich with masters of temptation. Cleopatra enchanted men with theatrical displays of beauty and intellect, but it wasn't her appearance that seduced, it was what she represented, the gateway to pleasure, mystery, and power. The courtesans of the Renaissance, like Veronica Franco, never threw themselves at men, they let men approach them, guided by curiosity and desire. Each word, each glance, felt like an invitation to something secret. Greene draws a powerful distinction between attraction and temptation. Attraction can be immediate, visual, physical, but it fades quickly. Temptation, however, burrows into the mind. It lingers. It haunts. You create temptation not by overexposure, but by withholding. Reveal enough to stir interest, then pull back to allow imagination to fill the gaps. The less you offer, the more they crave. Temptation is about controlling rhythm. Too much distance, and the desire dies, too much availability, and the mystery disappears. The true seducer finds balance, a dance between invitation and denial. Your every move should whisper possibility but never promise it outright. As Greene puts it, desire is like hunger, it only exists when there is something left to want. You can heighten temptation through contrast. Be unpredictable. Show warmth and distance in turns, laughter and silence, light and shadow. When your target feels they are constantly on the verge of something with you, yet never quite there, their obsession grows. This uncertainty, this emotional tension, is the essence of temptation. Psychologically, Greene explains, people fall for what feels like a discovery. If you seem too eager, you rob them of the illusion of choice. But if you remain calm, letting them believe they are uncovering your secrets on their own, they become addicted to the chase. The seducer never chases, they attract by being the forbidden fruit that others can't resist touching. Temptation can also be crafted through atmosphere. Surround yourself with sensual cues, scent, lighting, tone of voice, texture. Seduction is a full sensory experience. A room, a setting, or even your style can become part of your lure. Greene insists that everything about you, your appearance, your words, your silence, must carry a hint of promise. But the key, he warns, is control. If you succumb too easily, you destroy the illusion. The seducer remains calm in the face of emotion, allowing others to lose control. The power of temptation lies in patience, in letting desire ripen until surrender feels inevitable. By the end of the chapter, Greene reminds us that temptation is not deception. It's an art of suggestion. You never lie, you simply allow people to imagine what they wish to see. They project their fantasies onto you, and in chasing those fantasies, they chase you. The seducer's greatest secret is knowing that people don't want truth, they want enchantment. Create temptation, and you become the dream they can't stop dreaming, the hunger they can't satisfy, the mystery they can't solve. You no longer have to pursue, you simply exist as the thing everyone else desires. That, Greene concludes, is the supreme triumph of seduction.